Good evening, everybody. Sorry for the slight delay. Unfortunately, I went to bring up our faces and they were no longer there. So I just had to resync. It is a Monday night. We are racing once again. And all I can say is, Ashley, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to be changing some of the responsibilities between myself and Ashley. So once again, guys, I will be racing the season. And it is so nice to see the face of Stephen Koenig back. Lots and lots of issues through last season. So we only really got Stephen for one of the races, but here he's back. Going to be joining us on Monday nights for the rest of the season. So Stephen, don't worry, we will be getting you your SARCO cap so that you can feel like you're part of the crew, but welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to being back. Hopefully I remember how the microphone still works and the intense action that you guys put out. Yeah, it's been a bit of a hiatus, but looking forward to being back, and especially now for the qualifying division. And I've got to say, the assortment of cars and project cars too, for what we're doing, the GT3s, it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. And my heart goes a little bit towards BMWs. As you saw a little bit in that video there, the Z4 getting a bit of love, which is my favorite GT3 that ever came out, other than the Chevrolet.
So, Ashley, you're going to be leaving us now. You're actually going to be doing your qualifying session now. So, guys, I know that in the background, Ashley has got the guys ready to go. They are going to be cutting back. I just want to get rid of that. We can see that we currently have 17 drivers in the lobby there. In that lobby,
to run
we
off a
are
little bit wide.
losing,
You might help me there a little bit. You're right.
Ethan keeps coming in, but unfortunately we do keep having him disconnect. So we are definitely going to have to just figure out what's going on there. But Ethan, if you are watching, don't worry, we will get you in. We will make sure that you are able to get in that qualifier. But I think without further ado, Ashley, if you want to just get the guys going and let's get our qualifying up and running. So just to let everybody at home know exactly what's going to be happening is we will have 3 sessions. Each driver gets to have a go. We then take those 3 sessions, we take your average, and that becomes your qualifying time for either the Alpha tier or the Bravo tier. It is going to be absolutely incredible.
But we have got a little bit of housework, which you seem to have forgotten. Peter Heidemann coming first on YouTube saying good luck to all. And then our first on Facebook goes to Stephen Smith. So you two have qualified pole on YouTube and Facebook. So well done to you guys being fast on those fingers. Love to see it. So a little bit of housework there, and the race is always on for the comments. We're keeping an eye on that as well. On my second screen over here, I've got it both open because, well, I would be racing, but I'm not fast enough to be with these guys. I would be left miles behind, like further than anything at this point. But Dylan, take us through the build-up. We're going around Zolder now. We know Zolder's a tight circuit for one, with a change in camber. So the guys are going to have to really work on how they're going to balance the cars around, plus get the pace out there. And with such a full lobby, it's going to be a very interesting one to try and get those average times. It's not about how fast you can go, but it's how consistent you can run over the sessions. And I think that is going to be the trickiest part to deal with.
So the reason we've taken Zolder is it is quite a technical track. It definitely is going to be pushing the drivers to their limits to keep that concentration up. On Zolder, you don't really get a chance to just sit back and take a breather. We do have, they say 10 corners, but there are lots and lots of chicanes, lots of big braking areas. Going through turn number 7, you're essentially going into a chicane into a double right-hander. And just remember that we are talking GT3 Sprint Series. We do not have any setups allowed on these cars. It is basically looking at the... I've lost my control. What is going on here? Stand by, guys. Sorry, I've just... figured out what was going on. Apologies. We're once again doing the both setup scenarios. So here we go. Now I'm able to have a look at what's going on.
And then you're also going to bring up on Discord so we're able to take a look. And another thing that comes in, we would also like to thank our sponsor for jumping on board. That's Deliver Your Parcel, who are joining us here at SARCO, especially for the Monday Night Racing, the GT3 Sprint Series. Glad to have them on. We saw they had a big prize last time. And don't forget, there is prizes on the line going forward as well. So, big thank you to Deliver Your Parcel for coming on board with us. And if you want to ever get in touch with it, come and have a chat to us here at SARCO. We'll pass on the information and we'll get you sorted out. But I see the guys making the way onto the circuit. Taking a look at the Facebook page. And a lot of guys, Clayton Lee saying what's up towards Ash, Andre Duplessis also, and Jan VDV van der Merwe coming in as well. So glad to see it. And Ash immediately going into the kitty litter as well. So Zolder being a very tricky circuit, as you said, very technical. The guys had to really try and figure out where you can push it, where you can balance the car through some of the more tighter sections. So that's one to keep an eye out for as the guys make their way around the circuit. But Dylan, take us through. You've had a couple of laps around Zolder. You're getting ready to try and hit that pro tier, and it seems like everyone in the grid has elevated themselves to also push for those higher tiers.
Yeah, so earlier on in the week we had a lot of guys starting to practice. We were in around about that 34, the 1 minute 34 pace. What then started happening is those times starting to threaten into the 133s. We then got all the way down into the mid 33s, and it looks like we actually might get some drivers that are in the 32s, believe it or not. So we know that the cutoff for the Alpha tier is the top 11, and that's because we already have 5 drivers that have already qualified for the Alpha tier, and that being the top 3 from Alpha and the top 2 from Bravo. So only 11 spots out of 32 available. It is going to be extremely close, and this is why it is important to make sure you get those fast times in, but you're also keeping them very, very consistent.
We've also got a couple of reoccurring drivers coming back, and such as Marius has returned, and he's in that big old Cadillac. Absolutely fantastic, very heavy car, but plenty of grunt ahead of him. We have got our dear friend Terry, and absolutely glad to see him having a bit of fun out in the McLaren as well. So a lot of choice of guys having a bit of a choice of cars to go for, and the McLaren seems to be a little bit more favored than unfortunately my dear old BMW, which is a bit unfortunate. But the McLaren GT3, incredibly quick car, very well balanced, but doesn't have the same straight line horsepower as much as the bigger front engine vehicles, but definitely in the looks department it will break your heart and run away. And we just see Marius getting that too much of a curb and unfortunately spinning out, keeping out of the wall. But that shows you have to be very careful of how far you're going to push it. Sly Pete going on the Mercedes, the GT3 AMG, absolutely a monstrous beast with a thunderous sound, that is for sure. And one of the big looker cars, and love to see the Hot Wheels all over it as well. So glad to see that. See an Audi further up, so the Audi's also being shown quite a bit. So fantastic to see the assortment of cars and the guys going and racing there. Skolt's also in the McLaren. He's going to be having a bit of fun as well, pushing hard, trying to get those times in. As you can see at the top of the end of the field, 134 being the quickest, and there we go, the 133 jumping out from Terry. So Terry's not hanging on at this point. He's really going for it. And for many people that don't know, Terry is Terry Wilford, who currently races in the Big V8. So real world driver coming into SARCO, long friend of SARCO. Glad to have him here. and so far putting in the fastest time that we've seen. So he's enjoying being in a supercar, considering wasn't too much of a fan of the older cars with no ABS, no traction control. Then you've got these cars where the computers tend to help you a little bit, but at the same time, relying too much on the traction control or too much on the ABS actually does the negative and slows you down. So you've got to find that balance as well with it. And I think a lot of people tend to think that turn everything up and you should be fine. It tends to slow you right down, as we've seen in the Assetto Corsa Competizione series, where guys run it all the way up and the cars just can't get the drive out of the corners. Their braking is absolutely scary. And so there's the balance that has to come into it.
So as we see Terry coming out of the last chicane, will he be able to improve on that time? 133.3 is pretty damn quick. And as he crosses the line, he does not improve. So we'll just keep our eye on there. Then Morris in second place. He is 0.6 off the pace there. And just look at that green Mamba in the Audi.
You have to check in the
There
green numbers.
32.7 there for Morris, so that is an extremely quick time. Then we've got Sly Pete, he's in the AMG, he's in the 134.0s. Then Ashley in the McLaren as well, a 134.1. Wanted to go there to Rockstar Mal. I know that he's quite quick. He should get himself into the 33s, definitely in that Audi. Down in sixth place, that is Ryan, 135.1 for him, but it does look like he's gone into the pits. There we've got McLaren for Robert, 135.3 for him. Dane in the Ferrari. So as you mentioned earlier, a very nice mix of cars so far.
We've got the
That's actually
Lamborghini.
Dane in a Lamborghini, and I know that there are two drivers, Peter Brunt and Morris Jacobs, who will be in the next qualifier. They too will be in a Lamborghini. Then Cutting Beef, I was about to say he can't be in the Lamborghini, in the Ferrari, because he's been practicing in the Porsche, and there he is, car 911 for him. We are expecting that time to drop in the 134, so the 133s, because that's just part of the pace. Stevens also was very quick in his Ascaro livery, very, very SARCO inspired colors. I'm pretty sure that they checked our website for that color. Then Raf, he is back, joined us last season, and here he's in the Ferrari, currently in 12th, 139.8. Brandon DeSantos looks like he might have had a little bit of a disconnect, so he's down in 13th, currently at 143.0. He's definitely gonna need to be improving if he is gonna want to get himself higher up. And there he goes, 134.6, and then down in the 14th place is currently Colin. He is looking to get a lap time on in that Acura. And that's going to be the car that you're going to see me racing in a little bit later this evening.
Absolutely beautiful, striking looks, and definitely one to keep an eye out for. Then you've also got the Ferrari that's behind, that's having a good go. And that's what I love to see, is the GT3 cars, a nice mix in the field between front engines, mid engines, all having a crack at each other. And you could see each of the drivers...
It's Colin getting very sideways into turn one.
So Colin just testing out whether the tires can hold and doing a bit of Tokyo drift, but glad that he could keep it. Shows how hard he's pushing, but obviously that time is now a little bit out. So the best thing he could do, try and build up the pace once again, get back onto the hot lap.
You can see Morris has gone quicker, so he was on 132.7, a 132.6 there for him. So 0.7 ahead of Rockstar Mal, who's now moved himself up, a 33.3 there for Rockstar Mal. Terry still in third place with that 133.3, and then Ashley at 133.7. So definitely starting to find some pace up the water now.
It's absolutely fantastic. You could see all these drivers giving it everything they got. I mean, if you take a look, the top 4 are running 133s as a constant, trying to keep pushing that bar a little bit further down, 6th, 7th, 8th, right down to about 9th place. 134s, about mid 134s. So the guys are really trying to step up their game every time they climb with the cars. Every new season is coming out, a new one. It seems like the GT3 Sprint Series is going to be incredibly close as we keep an eye on Colin, who's trying to go that little bit faster, takes out a little bit too much curb. He did slide out, so his time is going to be way down the field. 138 was his his last lap. So he's just got to try and keep it all together as he makes his way around. But interesting field. And Dylan, you got to chat to the drivers a little bit before the whole series started. And how's everyone finding the cars? How's everyone adapting to these GT3 cars that's coming up?
So quite interesting enough is that I know that we have run a series where we did get the open setups, but how this whole thing was inspired was just on the weekends, getting a little 5x5, which eventually evolved to a 7x7. And part of what's going to happen is that the first heat there won't be a qualifying, so we are throwing in a random start for your first race, which what we find is that in those 7x7s it just mixes up, because what we're finding is that the cars are just so closely competitive. You can see Rockstar Mal gone quickest, 132.3 there for him, so he's gone 0.3 quicker than Marius up in the top there. And just getting back to the point is that we found that it just created that the unsurety of starting on the grid. But the thing is that because of the season that we've set, because of the tires, that it's going to be the driver that looks after the tires and is able to keep it together for those 20 minutes is the person who's essentially going to win. Because going at it flat out for the full 20 minutes is not going to work. Your tires will be overheating. And then we've got another little curveball. The first race will be in the daytime, and then we're switching it up for the second heat, and that will be at night.
And that puts the cat amongst the pigeons with a little bit of night racing, and you get to see who can push it and who actually remembers the circuit well enough to see past their headlights. And that's where it gets a little bit tricky, and it's interesting how it's all evolved now. You can see all the guys just trying to do everything they can. Rockstar still top of the field, 132.3. You did call that we're going to see those 132s start coming out and leading out. But remember, it is all about consistency, not your fastest lap time. So the guys need to try and keep a consistent, fast pace. And I think that's going to be the 33s, between the low 33s, such as what Terry Wilford's doing over here. He seems to be running a consistent 133 at this point. So very, very interesting, and a bit odd to see that your team has jumped out from running the usual Porsches into trying your hand at a different load of stuff. What inspired the change of vehicles? Let's go into that one for the Green Mambas, which is a mainstay for the SARCO team.
So between myself and Jakes, he wanted to drive the McLaren, which is what he'll be driving. I'm in the Acura. We both drove in the Audis the previous season. I've done some time in an Aston. I've done time in an Audi, and I just wanted to mix it up, and that's essentially it.
Well, it's one heck of a change, and hopefully it's something to look forward to. And obviously it's nice of having a bit, they say a change is good as a vacation. Terry Wolford unfortunately going and losing it, and decided to get back into the pits. A lot of the guys starting to jump down into the pits, just saving those times as their average as we get our qualifying rounding out. For the first, Ash now coming around. We're going to have Ash jumping in the box as well, and also we'll have Kate go and have a chat to the drivers and find out how everything's down on the pit wall as well. So interesting to see. But Zolder definitely coming into play and showing what the drivers can do. As it looks like Ryan catching one of the bollards, sliding the Audi around, trying to do that final last-ditch effort to get a quick lap time. Beautiful Audi R8 V10 coming into play.
So talking about the Audis and the green numbers, that was the exact car that I drove last time. We had a GT3 series, and nice to see that the Chasing Beaver has taken up the colors of the numbers. Oh, and as we say that ends Ryan's lap. Brandon De Santos now coming through the final chicane as he heads towards the start-finish line. He crosses the line. Does he improve? No, he doesn't. So a 134.4 there for him. Adrian Bond in the Ferrari. It looks like he's slowed down there as well. Donovan down in a 136.7. We know that he was having some issues getting in and out of the lobby. Doesn't improve, and that is that.
Absolutely crazy to see the amounts of times these guys putting in, but so far best lap time that has gone out, and that was done by Rockstar Mel doing a 132.3, which is extremely quick around Zolder. So glad to see those incredible times coming in. I'm really looking forward to seeing what the guys will be able to do come race time when they all get going at a full pace.
So just getting my invite, we can see that the current stream is going absolutely crazy. So apologies for that, guys. Let's just get Chase out of there.
Well, we're going to take a look at a bit of the comments. We're going to say a big hello to Lewis Lutz, Jake Skoltz, Healthy Mind as well coming into YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you guys here. And let's go over to our Facebook. We've got to give them a little bit of love as well. Lyndell Jansen going and saying, nice Terry Wolford, Peter Bredunt coming in. Clayton Lee Hall as well. Once again, glad to have you here. So glad to see everyone going and having a bit of fun and joining us this evening. Thank you very much for coming through. Make sure you subscribe on our YouTube page, and as well like our Facebook page. There's lots happening, there's lots of interesting things coming up, and we'd love to have you guys there as well. So a big thank you to you guys for coming out and being a part of this amazing event. Now I see Ash has joined us, now climbing out of the vehicle, and seeing maybe the white knuckles are definitely going to be there in the McLaren, trying to push it that little bit too much and having it a bite as well. And we're also going to give a good luck to Dylan, who's going to be, I believe you're jumping in this round to go and have a bit of fun out there. So
yep, thank you very much. Ash, I see that he has joined. So Ash, he then becomes the race director, and I'll be getting my racing gloves on and getting ready to go.
Absolutely.
So guys, I will chat to you on the other side. Enjoy.
There we go.
Good luck, Dylan.
Dylan goes and departs from us. Ash, how was it out there? Zolder being a little bit of a tricky circuit, and everyone putting in some very, very impressive times from our first round. And how are you feeling? How's the car feeling out there? And what's your thoughts on being with the competition?
Well, I was quite surprised by that time by Meljock. It was extremely quick. And even by Terry. Terry did very well getting up there in the top 5. I was struggling a bit, so I made a couple of mistakes. Tried a different setup, it didn't work for me. So I think I'm going to go back to my original setup in the next heat.
It feels so long since I've been on this side of the table.
But this is what it is. The whole thing is about just trying to keep that consistent pace right the way through. And we heard a little bit of how the whole sprint, the GT3 Sprint Series, proudly powered by SARCO in partnership with Deliver Your Parcel, came to be out of just a little bit of a fun run of 5x5 to 7x7 to into a full-on series. How are you enjoying it compared to your, racing the older cars as you were in previous seasons?
Well, yeah, we kind of racing or comparing apples to apples here with the GT3s and the ACC. We did the qualifying also on the same track as older with the AC Assetto Corsa. Bear in mind it was with a full setup, so we were able to change the settings of the vehicle, change the ride heights, tire pressures and all that sort of stuff. And definitely can see the difference in time. So there we saw a quickest time by Jock Racing of 1:28, I think. I think we're going to see a possible 1:30, a high 31, or at least a 32 flat. Some really quick times tonight in this Project Cars feature. So. For me, it was a little bit different getting used to this car. It's much better than I think the vintage cars that we've raced before. Well, a bit of a change, should I say?
Well, they say change is as good as a holiday. And,
absolutely.
That's for sure. And it's nice to see a good mix of different vehicles from front end to rear end. It's also brilliant to see the Cadillac coming into play as well, as we saw a little bit with Marius. And,
I didn't see any BMWs. So
no, it's quite unfortunate to see it, but really might have one. Just taking a look, a very small picture. But
it looked like Reed's taken his one BMW there, but it seems to be between the McLarens.
Grim Reaper won like the first.
Well, we had also an Audi, but actually a very good mix of vehicles this season. That's what he wanted to see. When I was practicing yesterday, I was trying to find a car for myself, and I actually didn't get through all of them. I think I did probably about 80% of the vehicles on offer, and after a while I was like pretty much sold that the majority of them handled and were pretty much on the same pace. It was just the one that I felt most comfortable with, and that was the McLaren. It just seemed to work a lot better on the harder compounds. But it's nice to see that we have variety and people choosing different vehicles this time.
It's absolutely brilliant, and it's also nice to see each have their advantages and disadvantages, such as the Audis can be very temperamental in terms of cornering they've got a lot of lift off oversteer, versus your more front engines that can literally run over curbs and just shrug it off like it's nothing, where your mid engines tend to struggle over that, but obviously front engines you've got the understeer to deal with. So nice to see guys trying to find what they are more comfortable with. And as you pointed out, McLarens, it seems to be between McLaren, Porsche and Audi seems to be the favorite pick at this point. We'll see as the guys go out onto the circuit right here in Belgium. It's 2 o'clock on Belgium circuit. Length is 4.01 kilometers. 10 turns make that 11 because you're half worn out halfway through the circuit. And no, absolutely fantastic. So definitely time that we've seen quickest so far, 1:43.2. So definitely want to keep an eye out for as the guys head out. Jake's currently heading out with the McLaren and is part of the Green Mumbas. Now, there's obviously been a bit of chatter down in the pits as well. A lot of the drivers giving a bit of banter, who's going to climb to the top. And the two teams between the Chasing Beavers and the Green Mumbas are going at it once again. What from your side, what other teams have you seen that's been quite impressive to keep an eye on?
For me, NASCAR, definitely the better team to watch. Just kidding, that's my team. Well, we know from the past that the Mumbas have been really quick, and the team seems to be growing. I think it would appear that half the SARCO pack are getting involved with the Mumbas for some reason. But yeah, look, you're going to see the Hills brothers, although I don't see... Oh yes, I do see them at the bottom there. I think they're going to be a team to contend with. I'm not sure the other ones that haven't really been announced yet, who those teams will be, but we got the Silverbacks. We know we've seen them from the past. I think it was Morris that was pretty quick. So all in all, I think it's going to be an interesting season again.
Well, it is going to be such a build-up. All the drivers really looking forward to it. And you guys at home, we want to see you guys cheering on your favorite drivers and teams as well. We're watching the comments, and we want to see who gets the most love in the different teams as well. So make sure that you guys go and show off and show what you're all about. So we want to see everything that goes on. Jake's going and hooking it in the kitty litter. Not having a fun time there. Gav pushing with the Audi. Once again, fantastic little car. Actually driven that in ACC way back when I first started into another PC series. Love the car, but definitely a one to keep an eye out for. I see Peter Hardeman saying, don't forget about the Rough Riders as well. We cannot forget about the Rough Riders. They've given everyone a rough ride more than once and definitely know how to go and push themselves around the circuit. Big old Bentley going around the circuit as well, so that is fantastic to see.
Yeah, it was. I took the Bentley for a drive, and it wasn't the easiest car to drive. So I'm hoping that looks like a newcomer to the SARCO series. I'm not too sure what his name is, but that's Object in the Mirror. I believe he's actually originally from the UK. So we have International joining us this evening, and was showing us. It'll be interesting to see what he can, show us South Africans if he's capable. It seems to have picked up a bit of a back marker there, and I don't know who that was, but it looks like he managed to get out the way there. But all in all, I think we in for a good qualifying round. Keep your eye on Jags. So I saw him in the practice. He was pretty quick. But we also got the likes of Lendl, we've got Brandon, and we've got Gavin there. Gavin posting a time of 1:33.9. So immediately getting onto the board with a very quick time, and considering that you still got to get those tyres up to temperature. The hard tyres on this track taking some time to get up to temperature. And for him to get to a 1:33 straight off the bat, I think we're going to see a lot coming from Gav.
I think our pro times are definitely going to sit on the 1:33s, and it's going to be very, very close racing come the start of the season next Monday. So guys, just keep an eye out. Race number 1 next Monday, and we're really looking forward to seeing what they can do. This GT3 Sprint Series proudly brought to you by SARCO in partnership with Deliver Your Parcel. Absolutely fantastic to have Deliver Your Parcel on with us, and they've came out with some fantastic prizes as well for the previous seasons, so we really love having them here. And also for you guys, the spectators, the families and teams that come and join us in the comments, you go and keep us company. We love to see the enjoyment. I love to see the comments fly out, and it definitely keeps these drivers all I can say is the guys come back, they watch, they check your comments, and the Discord goes wild because of you guys. So keep up the brilliant work, share the links, let's make this go absolutely huge and really show off what the SARCO drivers can do. And if you guys would like to get involved as well, come take a look on our Facebook page or get in touch with us through our YouTube page, and we'll get you guys involved, because we're not only racing on Monday, we've also got a Thursday series. We've got a lot of fun little series that also happen that you don't get to see too much on air. But brilliant to have you guys involved with the series in different ways. That's one thing about SARCO. We're all about community. We're all about the family. We're all about the fun. And we're all about going and giving it everything we got on the circuit. Let's be honest.
Absolutely. Yeah, guys, go and spread the word. The more drivers we have, the better. It makes things a lot more interesting. And we do have a couple of places available for the Assetto Corsa. Not so much for the project cars, that we have a full house with 32 drivers taking part in this season. So that's both tiers that are completely booked. We were hoping to get a Charlie tier, but when it comes to the commentating and the production of the whole race, we can only fit in 2 races per night. But with the Assetto Corsa, there are still seats available, especially in the Bravo tier. The times for the Alpha tier have already been decided. So, but there are a couple of spaces open for the guys who want to join the Assetto Corsa Bravo tier. Just come in, take part, and join the guys and see what you have. Or let's see what you got.
Oh, we see Hills going and really throwing around the Audi. Now, a little bit earlier, we were talking about guys utilizing the ABS, the traction control, and it can slow you up quite a bit. A lot of the guys turning it right the way down, and you can definitely see it as they throw the cars around. As we take a look at Brandon, who's just really throwing that Audi into turn 1, trying to keep it all together, and Brandon really pushing hard at this moment. He's currently lying in 2nd place in the Audi, and wanting to better his lap time. So what have you found, Ash, from your drive? Is it worth turning the stuff down to get more finite control over the car, or is it worth having everything turned up to avoid mistakes happening a bit too often?
What I've picked up from other guys is that they have turned down the traction control and add a little bit more ABS because we don't have a setup of these vehicles. I mean, that's the default setup. We have to basically use what we have available, and that's only the ABS and the traction control for this particular series. We have to start on the hard tires, so the guys are riding on the harder compound, and I think that will be the sort of for the races as well. Unless you come into the pits, there's a possibility you can change the softer compounds, but that would possibly lose you quite a bit of time during the race, and it wouldn't be worth even trying or attempting that. But for me, I tried to work everything off without any assistance, and that seemed to work better for me, I found. And then in this particular, the first stint, I decided to switch it on, just to compete with other guys, and it's actually slowed me down. So I'm going to change going back to turning off the traction control and the ABS.
Absolutely, and we know we've got Kate currently keeping an eye on the Discord. Kate, how's it looking there in the Discord? Lots of guys having a bit of chatter?
Well, it's absolutely crazy in the Discord. Lots of guys really trying to find out where they're going to be, how to work out the little kinks, and also getting a lot of talking between the drivers to figure out the best course of action around Zolder. So it's going to be very interesting to see how they're going to keep the team secrets together and at the same time be able to use it to get an advantage over the competition.
Thanks, Kate, and definitely glad to have you guys going and having a bit of a chat there. Kate keeping an eye on the Discord for us, so a big thank you to that. Ash, I mean, we're taking a look at the incredible times being put out here, and I've got to say I'm absolutely blown away from what we're seeing as the guys make their way around the circuit. So what's
Absolutely
your...
a brilliant time there from Lendor, 132.9, so getting closer to the pace of those guys in the first run. We did see Mel Jock with a 132.6, if I'm not mistaken. So at 132.9, oh, there we see someone in the background going a bit wide. I think that was Dylan yes, that was Dylan in the Curry, going a bit wide on the third or fourth corner there. A lot seem to getting that vehicle in quite a good rhythm there. I noticed when I was watching him earlier, just seems to be battling it, especially through this chicane section. That time a lot better, and let's see if he can improve his time. Sitting fourth at the moment with a 133.5, so just half a second off the leader at the moment, not far off the pace actually. And behind him is Brandon, who's now dropped down to fifth position, and I think that's the end of Brandon's qualifying session.
Yeah, with only 3 minutes left, it's very easy to get overexcited. And the chicanes have so far been the bane of people's existence at this point, taking out a few cars, hooking a little bit too much curb, and throwing it all out of whack. As we see Silver now really pushing hard down the line, trying to get a good time in, and being able to sit up in 5th place, right behind Dylan at this point. So nice to see a bit of a challenge coming in for the Green Mambas from guys further down the field. But Lima, I'm very impressed. I used to call him Lama, now he's Lima. Up in 1st place, 132.9. So really quick time coming in there. And we also got PB over here in the Ferrari going for the Italians. Glad to see the Ferraris going and thundering around the circuit. And let's see if he'll be able to better his time. Currently sitting in 10th place, not the quickest time in the field, but ahead of Tyler Scott, who is currently in 11th in the McLaren. Beautiful car. I've got to say, striking looks that the McLaren has got, and definitely turned some heads. But not my choice of vehicle. Up ahead of them, though, the big Bentley from our UK team, coming out and having a bit of fun with us. So fantastic to see Object in the Mirror, who's a newcomer to the series, as we said a little bit earlier, putting in some great times. You can see that Bentley just does not mind if it goes over the curbs, thumping around the circuit, and definitely showing what it can do. A little bit out of shape coming out of the corner. Now just trying to keep it all together. It's all about putting on the power. Now climbing hard on the brakes. You can see how that nose dips down, a little bit unsteady. Whoa. Slip and slide. Definitely not going to help the times. Trying to thunder his way through. Currently lying in 8th place. Let's see if he'll be able to make it work his way up. But the big Bentley for Queen and Country doing everything possible. Let's see if he'll be able to make it up through the field. No, unfortunately, too many little mistakes costing, and that's what we see in Zolder. Lots of little mistakes can set you back so far. And our only BMW, Rudy Bay, is currently lying in 13th place, but definitely one of the most beautiful cars, other than the Z4, of course. The Z4 is just, yeah, beautiful. But no favoritism here. Nothing, no favoritism.
Yeah, clearly. Well, yeah, I mean, a beautiful car to look at that BMW, but it just doesn't seem to be getting the traction down or able to turn it smoothly in. Seems to be really battling with the setup of the... Almost looks like he's using a controller there, the way the car is swerving around. But unfortunately, Rudy finding himself down in 13th position at the moment. But last but not least, we've got Ducatella, obviously a new driver. I'm not too sure who this driver is. Seems to be a new driver to SARCO, but glad he could join us, and I see he's racing the R8 there, which is also quite a mean machine.
Ducatella at the moment proving he's a little bit of an aviation expert, hooking over the curbs with the Audi, getting a bit of airtime. Now trying to keep it all together, a little bit slide, gets very close to the edge of the curb, really trying to push it. He's literally got to make this all work together for him. Goes out a little bit too wide, hooks it sideways, and I think his time is pretty much done and dusted there. As we said, little mistakes can cost you, and Zolder will find those mistakes very quickly. Now, impressive time so far. Lima putting in a 132.9 as the quickest time, not as fast as as some of the other drivers, but we'll have to see as they go through. Dylan unable to really show what he can do, 133.5. Brandon having a good bit of fun as well. So nice to see a good mix of drivers coming in, and setup seems to be you're either on it or you're off it. As Peter Heidemann says, great times, but you need to keep pushing as well. So fully agree with that. Terry also keep an idea. Now, Ash, you're jumping back into the car, and we're going to have Dylan back in the commentary box. So, Dylan, buddy, Let's say good luck to Ash, because Ash is going to beat you in times, that's for sure, because I don't know what you were doing out there.
What do you mean? He was pretty quick.
No, he's your competition. You must say he's a little bit slower. Come down.
No, well, he was, and I can't say that even when you saw it. He was quicker than me in that round. So well done, Dylan. Round 1.
So we're going to see the guys jump back in for the next round. Ash, good luck to you, and hope you have a bit of fun going out there as well. As we're getting Dylan back in the comm box, you can hear him. He's trying to get back in there. I know he's by the door. He's really just at the moment trying to figure out where he's going. Dylan, are you here? There we go. Heard the door slam. Dylan, how are you doing there, bud?
Okay. Clearly, okay, I have to up my game here.
Yeah, that was extremely tough, and the whole reason behind it is that you're concentrating. It's actually harder than a flippin' race, is all I can say.
Yeah. No, this track is much hardcore compared to the Assetto Corsa, which I found a little bit easier than the Project Cars, to be quite honest. I just guess we had a better setup there than riding on the default, but nevertheless, it was a good session all around.
So it's going to be an interesting one now, heading into round 2 of the qualifiers for the guys to really give it everything they got. And as we saw in the previous one, if you just joined us, thank you very much for joining us here at SARCO for the GT3 Sprint Series, proudly brought to you by SARCO in partnership with Deliver Your Parcel. And glad to see you guys out there in YouTube and in Facebook. And see Brandon DeSantis saying that Dr. Phil, aka Philip Mayer, busy going and putting in a chirp there. Brandon, nice to see you going and having a bit of fun in Facebook land. So guys, big thank you for you guys joining us in the social media. Make sure you're sharing it, liking it, sending it everywhere. We want to see as many people having as much fun as possible. And we'll have to see how it all goes. But Dylan, take us through Zolder. We saw a couple of guys having a bit of a rough time, cars sliding out a little bit. Currently, on a screen, we've got a couple of the guys just having a bit of a mock fun race. You're just traveling around. How is it there, and how are you finding the Ascari, the mid-engine, as it takes you around the circuit?
So I must say that I really enjoyed it. I was a little bit worried because I realized like 4 laps in, I hadn't even hit a... So I'm just getting the invite in. I hadn't even got I was still stuck on the 24, and I thought, gee, 33 is going to be quite a big ask. And then managed to get a really good lap in, and then from there trying to push to get it low and low, and I just started making those little mistakes. So I'm quite glad that I banked my 33.5. Otherwise I would have been in trouble.
But remember, it is consistency.
Yes.
Not about your fastest. That's one thing to keep a remember on to. And we did have Kate a little bit earlier taking a look at the Discord with everyone, having a chat there, and just trying to get a bit of an understanding of what the feel is. You got to hear a couple of the drivers. What's the general feel of the drivers for the circuit and for a little bit of the start of the session?
I must say they weren't really chirping too much. I had a little bit of a chat with Jakes, but other than that, it was very, very quiet. The guys are really feeling the pressure, I must say, because we can see how close these times are. But it's about now coming back for your second session, banging in that lap once again, and hopefully that gets you through.
Absolutely, and now heading into a second round of make it or break it. Let's see if the guys will be able to improve. Are you looking, now that they've had a bit of a sighting lap, if I may, a sighting session, are you expecting to see the times start coming down a little bit faster, or are you expecting us to see round about the same sort of pace that we saw from the likes of Terry Wilford, Ash, and like Adrian Bond as well?
So interesting enough is I'm actually not even sure what will happen is I know that now that the guys are put in that base time, they're going to be wanting to improve that. Obviously, the faster you go, the lower that average essentially becomes. And honestly, I think we might see a bit of a slump in some of the times. The guys might be pushing just a little bit too hard. We got to remember that we do have those track limits, and those track limits definitely play absolute havoc when we get racing. I see Vaughan Hills has just joined us in the commentary box. Vaughan, how's it? How you doing? You can chat now. We did hear you initially.
Oh, how's it? Yeah, all good, man.
How did that qualifier go for you? I saw that you were in 7th place. You were chasing me down there. How did you enjoy the qualifier?
It wasn't too bad. Actually put in a couple of better laps over the weekend, so yeah, just struggling to find that pace again. But yeah, good fun. I think this is going to be a very close series, and yeah, it's going to be tight to get into Alpha Tier, and I think the racing is going to be very competitive and very tight. So I'm looking forward to it.
And not having to worry about setups and that sort of thing, being able to jump in either a loose or a stable setup. Has that really? Have you found it easy to adapt to the car as opposed to adapting the car through setup to your driving style?
Yeah, it's changed my life because I've got a real job as well, so I don't have time to fiddle around with setups like we used to. So yeah, it's cool that everyone's on par, and like I say, that's going to make it a lot more interesting. And yeah, it's sort of a ride and drive, if you want to call it that. So yeah, I'm more comfortable with everyone being on the same sort of setup, not having to go through hours and hours of tweaking every little thing.
Now, Vaughan, having the mix of cars between the McLarens, the Porsches, the Audis, and we've also saw like a big Bentley coming into play as well. What's your feel with having such a vast amount, a change in variety of vehicles on the circuit? And do you think it's going to be a little bit more tough to try and get around some of these cars with the little quirks that they come with?
Yeah, I think each track or each car is going to suit a specific track, in my opinion. And I think each car, also suits a specific driving style. So the guys have obviously gone for the cars that suits their driving style best. And yeah, like I say, I think each car's got a track that suits the specific car. So I think we'll see a lot of mix up. Obviously, you're going to get the guys like Marius, Gav, Lendl, who else is always there in the top, which will most likely still dominate the top few spots. But yeah, I think the cars are going to play a big role, and the circuits on different circuits.
And then just a quick question, Vaughan, as we just changed the formats up just a little bit, is that your first heat, no qualifying, you're basically jumping random grid for that first heat, obviously with our top 6 reverse grid. Do you think that's also going to mix up those end results?
Yeah, for sure. Like I mentioned now, the guys that are always in top, they put in a good qualifying lap, and then they pretty much gone at the start of the race. So, if those guys have to start mid-pack or even at the back of the pack, I think it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be good fun.
Awesome. Vaughan, thanks so much for joining us, man. Appreciate the visit.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely fantastic. Nice to hear from Vaughan Hills, one of the reoccurring drivers here in SARCO, and a long-term fan and long-term driver joining in for it. So glad to see there. Absolutely brilliant. I'm excited to see what the guys can do. I think they're going to push it a little bit more for this GT3 Sprint Series for the second round of the qualifiers. And I think it's going to be something to keep an eye out for. Now, we did talk a little bit earlier that there is a bit on the line, other than just bragging rights. I mean, let's be honest, if you're the fastest car in the field, the bragging rights is a real thing. We've got a little bit on the line as well, which obviously will come out later as the series continues in partnership with Deliver Your Parcel. But we've also seen that, Dylan, you've got the SARCO hat, which people are able to get as well. That's available. We see Brandon Santos completely getting it wrong. Hopefully his boss is not watching. which I think he is. Oopsie.
I'm sure every single racing boss is currently watching. So yes, the cap is that it is on for sale. You are able to purchase them for 150 Rand. You just need to go to sarco.co.za. You can go to the store. We still do have some stock of our infamous trucker, as well as some water bottles and some face masks that are available for purchase. We do have two payment options, so you can either do it as an EFT or now through your credit card. So we are trying to make it as easy as possible for you to get your big power slide there for cutting beef as he gets onto the power through turn number 9. Yeah, we just want to make it easy for those who want to support the brand, because it's basically the merchandise that helps pay for servers and that sort of thing all behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we saw cutting beef going and putting on power and really spinning out once again. Tires coming into a factor, and also having that traction control way down does give you a bit more finite control, but at the same time can bite you harder than a rattlesnake. That's for sure. So definitely want to keep an eye out for. So it's all about the finite control, especially here at Zolder. Terry going out in the McLaren, looking to try and fight his way back up to the top, hoping to get a faster time. But once again, it's all about precise control. Unfortunately, too much on the curb once again, and just rotated the car. And we're seeing it again. Steven once again getting on the curbs, unsettles the car and throws it out. Zolder curbs are becoming very infamous, Dylan.
So I actually made sure that I wasn't caught on screen, but in that very chicane, I'll end up spinning it twice. Thank you for not watching me while that was happening. And that's just being over eager. Braking just a little bit too late. The car gets into a slide, hits a curb, and then it's left, right, and you're going into the wall backwards.
And it's so easy to do. That's the thing. You're running so far on edge, and the track is unforgiving. Let's be honest. Zolder is unforgiving. You either get it right, or it's going to send you the divorce papers in a hurry. That's for sure.
And that was one of the reasons why I chose Zolder, because Zolder is highly demanding. You have to make sure that you are, I'd say, precise. The track limits, the race director takes absolutely no prisoners, as we see with the Lamborghini just getting out of the way there for Marius. Marius going around the outside on the 133.9. So the guys had to put in the time to be able to arrive and put in these fast times. I know that we had Vaughan was talking about arrive and drive, and most definitely it takes out the setup, which takes a lot of time. But now what can happen is that if you get a quick hour or an hour there, you can jump in, get yourself familiar with the car, get yourself familiar with the track, and then you're able to compete. But for a qualifying, the guys have spent a lot of time specifically on this track.
So by taking away the setup time, you've given more track
driver
time.
So 100%.
That's the thing. And we always say there's no replacement for getting driver time, and that's the thing. The more time you can spend physically turning laps around the circuit, it's more muscle memory comes into play, and we'll work it out, especially also working out your car. You know that there's a constant setup, but you have to get used to that on each circuit. And we see Marius trying one every single time, sliding the car around, just trying to find those precious few seconds, and a little bit behind him, one of the McLaren's also getting way off, and that's Terry Wolford. He's definitely having a bit of a rough time there, trying to keep it all together. So 133.9, so the guys are still trying to get used to it, not the 132s as we saw in the previous session, and want to keep an eye out for. Let's see if they'll be able to break it down, or is that going to be the constant time that we're going to see for our alpha tier at this point?
No, the times will definitely come down. But an interesting strategy, what the guys can do is that they can go into the pits, they can go put in a soft set of tires, and then try them, because now in the standard setups you're either given a hard set, and that's it. Specifically for myself is I did try that in the practice. and I went 0.5 slower on the soft tires than I did on the hards. They take a little bit longer to get the heat in, but once the heat is in the tires, there's more grip on a hard tire than in the soft, because they just burn up and you get that rubber tacky feeling, and you're just not able to compete.
And that's where the trick comes in, just trying to keep it all together and really figure out the best strategy to get your average time. And I have to keep pushing onto that, the average time. It's not about how fast you can go, because you can be a one-lap wonder and get your way right to the top now, but your average time can be absolutely appalling, and that can put you into the Bravo tier, and your fastest time could be the Alpha tier. So it's all about that consistency is key. And
the other thing, what you're seeing here with all these cars, this is not what you want to be doing. You do not want to have a car in front of you that is slowing you down. So Ashley now trying to get himself ahead of the Audi, and that Audi, I think that is RAF, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there we go. So that is RAF. So I would have rather just backed off a little bit, because now they're essentially racing, and all it's doing is it's killing both of their times.
Well, I just want to point out, Dylan, that's you might need some glasses there. It's not quite an Audi, it's on the other side of the water. It's a Ferrari.
Did I say Audi? Apologies. So I see there's Colin who's driven into the pits and driving out. So he's gone and put on a pair of softs. And I wonder whether he will be able to get himself into that 134 now. Because now not only does he have the soft tires, but he now has to get them up to temperature. But because of the tack temperature currently, it's over 50 degrees. Those tires heat up too much, and he's going to start losing that grip.
And it's all about trying to just keep it together. That's where it all comes in. It's glad to see some new drivers coming into the series as well here at SARCO. If you guys are interested, please go on to our Facebook page, get hold of us on YouTube, or even go and take a look at our website as well. So if you guys want to be a part of not only our Monday nights, but we've also got Thursday nights and a couple of fun races in between our 5x5, 7x7, where this actually originated. So guys, please go and take a look at it. But
just watching,
really pushing hard.
Yeah, I see that Robert got himself into the 34 flat, but just ahead of him, that's Cutting Beef. That is Duncan coming from the UK. When I asked him which part of the UK, he said from the south. So I don't know how far south in the UK he is from, but another international driver racing with us, as well as, apologies, I've just lost his PSN ID. He was in the session with me, another UK driver that we met through some of the fun stuff that we've been doing over the weekend, over the last couple of weeks.
That is Object in My Mirror, who was in the big Bentley.
Ooh, you can see Robert now essentially trying to race the Porsche, starting to make mistakes. But Robert, you need to just get that gap, give yourself some space, and then give it a good flyer once again. Just wanted to jump here onto Colin, because now he's going to be on a flyer, so we'll come back to him in the next minute or so.
Well, as you pointed out, you want to be in a bit of fresh air to try and keep it going. As you can see, Terry with a bit of fresh air between them, and you've got to get into that mindset of whether you just need to just come off the throttle just that little bit to try and keep it all together, and give yourself a good lap instead of trying to race a guy ahead of you who might muck up your times. It's either too slow, outbrakes himself, or you make mistakes trying to catch up. So that's another thing they need to be cautious of as they make their way around the circuit.
So see Morris, that 132.9 for him. Then we have Rockstar Mel, 33.5 for him. Brandon DeSantos is a 33.8, so he's gone quicker than he did in his first stint. Robert Stoltz in 4th place currently in this session, 134.0 for him. Then Pete 134.1, then 134.4 for Ryan 134.9 for Ashley. So he's got some work to do there for himself. But again, behind traffic, and that's going to disrupt the downforce. He's going to lose some of the grip in the faster stuff. Needs to create a bit more space for himself, and hopefully he'll get himself up, because with 3.5 minutes left of the session, he's going to be able to get in like 2 really good laps. But then after that, that's going to be all she wrote.
Well, the other thing to look at that might be able to help for like Ash, who's in a bit of a mix, is if the car ahead of him is faster, try and keep in the tow and use the slipstream as much as possible. That will be able to help if you're looking to get a faster time, but not for an average time.
If you're on Spa, I 100% agree with you. Unfortunately here, you're not getting that benefit of the downforce because you're losing it way too much grip in the corners. But Ashley did go quicker, 133.8, and Duncan went quicker as well, so he's moved up to 134.5, so he's up into 8th place.
It's nice to see the similarities and differences between the Porsche and the McLaren, and the design choices that they've taken. But absolutely brilliant to see the GT3s really pushing as hard as they can on project cars. And you can see they're cutting beef, just giving Ash a little bit of room, and Ash makes a complete muck up, and cutting beef now retaking the position to just keep on the charge, and immediately puts it into the dirt.
He touched the curb coming down the hill, so that's going to put damage on both of them. That is quite unfortunate, unlucky guys, but that's part of that danger when you essentially are racing somebody else.
And this is all about just trying to keep the focus up, and as you see, 1 lapse in 1 second of focus, and that really just mucks it up all completely. And you know, the guys, despite this being a sim and they're sitting at home in their rigs with their controllers or their steering wheels, the focus that has to be put on, because you're not feeling the car with your backside, you're having to visually see when the car steps out. You've got slight feeling in the
big step out there for Roberts, and you can see that he's currently in 2nd place with a 133.1, and I'm pretty sure that he would have liked to have a bit more of a seats of the pants feel there as that car started rotating on him.
Absolutely. And taking a look at the front, it seems like we've got a slight change up. Rockstar Mel was number 1 going in the first of the rounds. Now seems to be battling a little bit more. Wonder if he changed 1 or 2 things on the Audi, just trying to push it that little bit more, and hasn't worked out for him just as yet, but seems a little bit more comfortable over the curbs. So whatever he's done has settled the Audi on the curbs, but just hasn't got the same pace as what he had in the first session. So he might go back and change it back a little bit, or do
you can't change anything. That setting
that's
is
very true.
Locked, so it's definitely probably just a mindset. Rather just brake a little bit earlier, try not carry that much speed onto the curb. But that Audi did look extremely comfortable going through that first chicane, where generally when I go through there, it feels like I grab that steering wheel just a little bit harder, I hold my breath, and I brace for impact.
Well, you gotta just keep on going, and mid-engine's not a big fan of the curves. The guy's doing everything they can as the timer runs out. 1-0, and qualifying is now complete. So if you're on the lap, you've got to literally push it to the end. But a lot of the drivers just deciding that's enough and making their way around. Brandon De Santos doing everything he can with the Lamborghini, looking very settled. Terry on a big flying lap at this point is pushing hard in the McLaren. Gets a little bit sideways, a little bit on the marbles, but able to keep it together, hanging in the slipstream of Brandon. Is it going to be enough to move him up in terms of pace?
Ooh.
Gets over and too much curb, and decides he's going to become an Air Force pilot at this point, and parks it in the wall. So Terry not going to be a happy camper with that. Was pushing hard, but as you said, it gets very difficult, and Zolder is all about finding those little mistakes and showing what you can do around it. Donovan now making his way through in the Audi. Beautiful, beautiful color scheme. Nice to see the Hot Wheels on the side. I'm sure all of us have been playing with Hot Wheels at some point. Adrian Bond, that's completed his lap as the guys make their way through. Dylan, you're going to be going up next. Now taking a look at the guys starting to make little mistakes, seeing the times a little bit slower this time around. How's the confidence feeling? You're getting a little bit butterflies in the stomach? You're starting to play a little bit on the pedals a bit?
No,
Or
not
keeping
at
it
all.
calm?
I'm ready to go. I just wanna get in, make sure that I get some 3 really good laps in, just to get those tires up to temperature. So from lap 4, 4, 5, and 6, I'll be at maximum attack.
It's all about being like a duck, calm on the surface, relaxed, and panic like Naga underneath the water where no one can see. That's
100%.
exactly how it is. Well, as the times round out, Marius so far with the quickest of 132.9 in that previous session. We're going to be having the guys jumping back to our next tier that are going to be going round. And rejoining in the box is going to be Ash after his run. We'll get a little bit of input of how his session went and a little bit of the collision that went on. And we wish Dylan good luck as he heads out for round 2 of the qualifying division. As we could see, the guys currently jittering all around on the stream. But taking a look at the comments, we've got Tyler Scott saying, keep it up, Scolts44. Glad to see Tyler putting in some support there on Facebook. On YouTube. Facebook being a little bit more quiet. Guys, I see you guys. We've got 6 people watching Facebook. Come on, let's get live. Let's see those comments rocking out. Yeah, but on YouTube, we've got quite a few people watching as well. Big thank you to you guys. Making it out here, especially on a Monday night, to rock and roll, where the action is all going to be right here at SARCO. This is the GT3 Sprint Series in partnership with Deliver Your Parcel. Ash, welcome back to the comm box. You're not slamming the door, so obviously not too angry about the times there, but decided that got into a little bit of a race with cutting beef. How was it out there?
Hello.
Yeah, unfortunately, got stuck in traffic with a couple of guys who weren't in the same pace, and it is what it is. But I'm happy with the time. I'm sure it was good enough. I'm hoping it was good enough. But yeah, it's pretty tough out there. It was a bit of a workout.
And the competition obviously really showing what they can do. This is the second time out. The guys are a little bit slower, trying to figure out how to pace the cars around the circuit. How's it feeling in the pits? What's the general feeling with the guys? Are they seemingly excited? Is there a bit of nervousness coming out of where they're sitting, or is there a bit of calm of, okay, we've got this, whatever happens, happens, as they make their way around the circuit?
A couple of surprises, to be quite honest. Some guys that we normally don't see up there do posting some fantastic times. So obviously he had a bit of practice over the weekend, and or should I say for the last week or so. And definitely showing that they have the ability to keep up with the front runners. We saw Mel Jock there. Well, not an old, phase 2 to the SARCO. We have seen him in the Alpha tier before, but some great times coming from him. We saw, I think it was Rudy posting a good time there as well. Robert. My apologies, Robert, posting a great time there. So Robert's also showing what he's capable of and posting a very good time. So all in all, I think it's going to be a very close, tightly packed Alpha tier.
Absolutely, and one to keep an eye out for. Kate, you're keeping a good observation on the circuit, trying to see where the guys are making mistakes. What's your generalized thoughts?
Well, it seems to be the guys are battling over the curbs. A lot of the cars getting very, very upset as the guys are trying to push it that little bit too far, might be braking a little bit later, and just getting in, unbalancing the car, and it's slipping out on the. So let's see if the guys will be able to get a little bit more comfortable as time goes on.
Thank you very much, Kate. Ash, I mean, your point of view, What's your take on it?
I just want to find out, is Kate somehow related to you?
Kate's a good friend. Kate's a very good friend of mine.
A friend of yours, okay.
Yeah, she's actually doing racing. She's meant to be racing this Monday with MNR, and unfortunately we weren't able to make it. The steering was giving a hassle, so she's helping out with a bit of talking here. Not very talkative, but I'm trying. I'm trying to get it. Don't look at me like that. Any case. So it's lots of interesting factors coming in. Hoping to get her on the circuit a little bit more often, but we'll see.
That's great. Does she also drive a BMW?
No, she's a Honda,
she's a Honda fan. Honda Jazz.
It's too sad, going with the Honda NSX. I don't know why you picked that car, but hasn't got a VTEC. It's slower than the Aston Martin. It's absolutely frightening to see the differences as the guys have worked really hard with it. Taking a look at our comments, we've still got Brandon Santos. Our Facebook has gone quiet, absolutely, which is quite frightening to see. But our YouTube is going wild. A lot of the guys putting support for Scolts, for Rough Riders. We also had Terry going and punting his team out there as well. So good to see the guys all putting in the effort, trying to go that little bit more every time. But as we pointed out, curbs. As I've asked Kate about the curbs, Ash, your input onto the curbs that seem to be biting people on the backside quite quickly.
Yeah, especially in the chicanes. Definitely, I felt it a couple of times. And that lap where I thought I would actually get closer to the front, made a mistake there. And that's when you also came together with I'm not too sure the other driver was, but a big factor today's qualifying. Difference between the games with the Project Cars and the Assetto Corsa, you can ride the curbs nicely on Assetto Corsa. With Project Cars, it's a totally different ball game. You go on that curb and you either go launch into space or you basically get terribly wrong and you go flying into the barrier. And we have seen that a couple of times this evening with some of the drivers. Even with our host, Dylan, getting a little bit squiggly through one of the chicanes. But still an interesting race, or still interesting qualifying to come. We see the guys now darting for position to get out there first. And it looks like Jake's... No, it looks like Peter Brandt has managed to get out first onto the track. And then followed closely by... Yeah.
Peter Brandt in the Italian Stallion as he heads out onto the circuit. So now, as we pointed out in the previous, you were busy driving. As Dylan said, it might be a better option is to come off the throttle slightly, let the field go, and get into a bit of cleaner air. What's your take on that?
Well, I was right on the back of him. I was running out of laps. I thought probably easier just to get past him and build up a bit of a gap. Because it was inevitable that I was going to obviously catch the guy again. So, yeah, I mean, it's here or there, really. I had an opportunity to go past, and I went for it. And, and then the second overtake that I did attempt, I missed the chicane, and then it ended up in tears. But, it is crucial to get a bit of space on this track. Just to allow yourself a bit of a gap. These guys that are bunching up here are going to have a Toro time, and Dylan's actually caught now behind, and I think that's one of is it the Rough Riders, or I'm not too sure, one of the guys there out just ahead of Dylan, and you can see a huge stream of cars all bunched up together. So let's hope they're able to give yourself enough space to get in those quick times.
Absolutely. You can see Jake's part of the Green Numbers now on his hot lap trying to get a bit of a go. Peter Brandt just ahead of him. Peter Brandt has been a driver that's really come up and unfortunately has to dart off into the grass. But let's go and spotlight a couple of the drivers that we've seen. Peter Brandt originally was in the Bravo tier and progressively got faster and faster and faster to eventually get into the Alpha as an invitation and then become a major part of the Alpha tier. Jake's been an incredibly quick driver for the Green Mambas and has been one that seems to be not to be seem offensive or anything, but seems to be the glass cannon. He's either absolutely on point or he does drift off. And it seems like he's now getting back onto that point, being that massive shotgun that everyone knows him to be, and tends to run away. But let's see if he'll be able to keep that going. But also one driver to definitely keep an eye on as a spotlight driver that can really put the pressure on to a tight field.
Absolutely. I just see some of the guys there have disconnected. And I think it's Dylan that's disconnected from the session. So he'll be most disappointed with that. And I think there was a couple of other guys as well. So most unfortunately, he'll probably have to just come in here and hopefully be able to put in a lap time. So at the moment...
This is the thing with sim racing, that this does happen, such as mechanical failures that we have in real cars. Disconnections can happen in sim racing, so it counts as a mechanical failure, if we can put it that way. Conrod gone out or tire fell off as a thing. And I think a lot of people have just got to put it behind them and say, right, it's happened, let's get back in and get going. The mental mind frame is difficult to think like that.
Yeah.
To put it behind you, especially if something happens like that. But you've got to do it, otherwise it's going to bog you down for your next rounds. That's for sure. That's the fact to it.
And that's motorsport at its best. That's a bit of a mental game as well. And just when you think everything's going well, something comes up and bites you in the butt, and that's possibly what has happened here tonight. So the quickest time at the moment is Lendl with a 1:34.4. So slower times than what we saw from the first session of the second tier. But we still got 10 minutes left. Let's see if those guys are able to prove it. I noticed with my session as well, the guys went slightly slow, almost half a second slower. So I'm not too sure if maybe they're trying a little bit too hard and making mistakes, or it could be just the factor that they're all bunched together and not able to get in a great time.
Well, we saw the quickest time was a 1:32.9 in your session this last round. So definitely, as you pointed out, the guys have they've come down in pace, maybe getting a little bit more comfortable, trying to work on that average pace. Taking a look, we've got our 2-year anniversary follower, that's Shane Neverhazen, Jake's going and here home. So nice to see. I do apologize, I brutally killed Afrikaans there. That was terrible. Okay, so basically the support for Jake's from Stain Neverhazen. So glad to see that coming out, and the guys putting in some support there. Man, I don't know what I did with my Afrikaans, but definitely left it at school, obviously.
Maybe you should ask Kate if she could read it for us next time.
I'm getting some dodgy looks at this point. So just if I go mute, call the cops. But absolutely fantastic. Glad to see the supports. And I mean, we talk about the drivers, we talk about the teams, the preparation that goes into it. I think another thing is to talk about, Ash, as you've come through, you've watched it all grow as SARCO has gotten bigger and bigger. We've had the UK guys come in. Our spectators, our families and teams that are watching to go and be a part of it. I see Terry saying, please send Dylan invite. So, Ash, if you'll be able to do that, that
unfortunately,
would be too kind.
I can't. I'm the director, so it'll have to be one of the guys. Let me see if I can actually...
Okay, so while Ash is busy doing that...
Well, there's Dylan. He's managed to come back into the pits. So somebody has heard his
plea.
His plea, and he's still got 7 minutes left on the clock. So let's hope he'll be able to get into time.
Once again, focus, knuckle down, and keep on going forward. big thank you to Terry Wolf for jumping in the comments there, adding that. So Terry on YouTube, thank you very much. But Ash, going back to it, you've seen the growth of the community, not only for drivers, but the fans that have been a part of it, the families all getting involved, and especially going into the start of the season, we spotlight the drivers, and we don't seem to spotlight the spectators that are part of this. Take us through your thoughts of the family that's out there on Facebook and on YouTube.
It's great to see the support in that. And look, when I was in Joburg not so long ago, when we did the karting endurance race, it was also great to see the guys coming out there, showing their support for the guys who came up for the invitation race. It was nice to see all the guys coming together with their caps on and showing the support for SARCO. And I think there were probably about 10 guys in total, plus their family, coming to support us. And that was really great to see. It was really great to see the support coming, and we do appreciate it. We do appreciate the messages that the guys and the family members are sending through. And all you can say is thank you very much, and keep those messages coming. Oh, there we see Durkee getting out of shape there and going off, and he'll probably have to go back into the pits again.
Yeah,
Dylan seems to be
completely off kilter there and deciding that the Audi is going to be a very good lawnmower. And sorry to jump in there.
Yeah, so there we see Dylan back on track again. So it's good that he was able to get back in. And let's hope that he can get in a decent time. He's only got 5 minutes left on the clock, but I think if he just gets himself a little bit of a breathing space there, he will be able to definitely make a good time.
Absolutely.
A little bit more pressure, but unfortunately, that's if you look at the times. I mean, Jakes has only done a 1:33.2, which is compared to what I saw in his practice heats, it's literally like half a second, even more, off his actual pace, what he's potentially can do. So Jakes, they're not finding enough pace. But there we see coming across the line. Let's see if he can improve his time. And it doesn't look like he has. So, but look at that gap between himself and Gavin.
So definitely the guys have toned it down a little bit, and I think this is more of the race pace we're going to see versus the hot lapping. And there we go. Lima, I got it wrong again. That's the meme. Lima versus Lima. But Lima going up 1:33.066 going and knocking Jakes off. But as you pointed out, the time between Lima, Jakes, and Gav is just incredibly close. And I think they're going to be ones to keep an eye out for come the season, especially with a randomized grid.
Whoa,
Jakes getting too much curb and into the wall. So once again, Zolder going and ticking off the victims at this point. But there we go.
He's gone straight into the pits, and you'll get a fresh set of tyres, but also have a full tank again. So for him to get up to speed again is going to be a little bit of difficult. He'll probably be able to get maybe 2 laps in if he's lucky. And I see another guy going out there. I think that was, looks like Brandon also getting a bit sideways. So the guys are pushing a little bit. I think what's happening is they're just pushing way too hard, trying to beat that time, and also getting stuck in traffic. And I think that's causing the guys to just be a little bit slower than what we saw from the first heats.
This is the thing that I think the guys are starting to get a bit more just into a rhythm at this point and not going for those incredibly hot lap flyers. But a couple of the guys that are still pushing hard, Rudy Bowes still trying to move his way up. He's not moved up into 12th position in the BMW, so which is glad to see. Dylan still trying to keep himself going. And also Object in Almira, that is in the big Bentley, was on a hard charge as well. So the guys are really still trying to push their way up through the field. Despite having 2 minutes and 52 seconds left of the session, they want to try and put in those incredible lap times for bragging rights, and also try and get that average lap time a lot closer to one another. So definitely a thing to keep an eye out for. as the guys make their way through. But Zolder,
there we see Dylan going wide, and that's not going to help his cause. He still has 2 minutes and 2 seconds. If you can just get around, keep those tires warm, you'll have one more shot at posting a time. At the moment, they're 1:33.6, so a fairly decent time. Only a half a second off the pace there. But looks like he's pushing a little bit too hard. Just needs to get around, get those tires nice and clean, and he has one more chance to try and get further up the field.
And it's definitely going to be a difficult one. Dylan went and spoke about the curbs, especially the tighter chicanes, being a bit of a bane for him at this point. He did spin a couple of times in the previous session, trying to keep it going. And Ash, take us through going into those chicanes. It's quite deceptive. You've got to climb on the anchors very hard to get it in. Are you checking drivers trying to do a little bit lift off before they get there, or just slam onto the anchors as hard as they can and try to get a straight line in as much as possible?
You got to do a bit of trail braking, or keep the car as straight as possible, brake, and then got to line that car up in just the right position, and to get that right is extremely difficult. To consistently go through those chicanes at a good speed is very difficult. So we see now Dylan starting his penultimate lap, gets a good first corner, and got those lights on, so basically showing whoever's in front of him that he's coming through. A nice good exit onto that third and fourth corner.
Yep. Bit of a double apex that you got to go and hit, trying to line himself up, going as hard as he can, gets a little bit sideways. That's not going to help his time. Was able to keep it in check though, and you could be sure those rear tires are crying out, saying, "Listen, give us a bit of a break."
Nice chicane there.
Bouncing it, but able to keep it together up and down the hill. Now is all coming down right towards the end. Is he able to keep it in check? Gets a massive slide. And unfortunately, that's putting an end to his session. Once again, we talked about those chicanes being a little bit of a difficult one. Lima coming across the line. Got it right this time. 1:33.06, the quickest time. Wasn't able to better it, but hopefully we'll keep it going. And here comes Jakes trying to keep it all together. In the McLaren definitely has Stain keeping an eye on him. So let's see if he'll be able to do Stain justice at this point. Hard onto the brakes. Trying to go through the chicane. Got a good drive, but has got a marker. And very hard into the wall.
Pushing way too hard there. So let's see if Gavin can improve. Go slightly wide into that last corner. But crosses the line. Does he improve his time? No, doesn't look like he does, and stays in third position. Nevertheless, a very good time there, 1:33.2 from Gav. In fourth position, we have Durkee with a 1:33.4. Then Brandon in fifth position with 1:33.6. Dylan, a 1:33.6. 5. Heels brother there, I think that's Fawn in seventh with 1:33.7. And I'm just looking at those times, and I'm thinking, I'm way off the pace. So a lot of work to do in this last session, yeah.
And that is it. It is the last session, as you brought it up. So good luck, Ash, as you getting yourself ready, coming back into the comm box, and just going and making his way through. Hasn't slammed the door this time, but I'm sure the steering wheel might have taken a bit of abuse. And we've got Dylan. Dylan, bud, welcome back to the comm box. And it seems like a little bit of a trying run for you, getting disconnected, rejoining, and pushing it that little too far in the Acura, causing it the back to step out on you. What's going through your mind? And remember, we're using code bananas. Code coconut, sorry, code coconuts, I remember it. So just remember that one before... So, Dylan, take us through what's going through your mind, bud. Obviously, with that run, a little bit tricky compared to what you had. And as Ash gets himself ready. I think
Dylan, can you hear us? Dylan? No, it looks like he's...
I think at this point he's pretty focused on his final round at this point. Ash, you should be getting ready for your round. Ah, there we go. There's Dylan. Welcome, welcome. We thought that you were ignoring us after we made a bit of a comment to the sideways action, the Tokyo drifting. Ash, Bud, final round. What's going through the mind right now?
Well, I've just been, like I said, looking at those times, and I'm going to have to pull a rabbit out the hat here just to stay in the, or have a shot at staying in the alpha tier. It's very competitive tonight, and we've seen some really quick times there. And I'm a bit worried, so I'm going to try my best just to try and improve my time and see how that goes.
And I just want to chuck this in for the ladies and gentlemen at home on Facebook and on YouTube. I see you staying saying good luck, guys, so big thank you to you. I just want to go and point out there that Alpha and Bravo tier, yes, your Alpha guys are incredibly quick, but taking a look at the lap times, our Bravo tier are literally running against those Alphas as hard as possible. So the difference between Alpha and Bravo tier, that thin grey line is starting to get blurred out quite a bit. And it's just literally we're taking the fastest of the fastest and putting them together. So please do not get the wrong idea in terms of Alpha tier is fast and Bravo tier is slow. It's not the case. It's literally how close the times are to one another. And I think that's one thing everyone's got to quite familiar with as we head into our next race Monday. As we head out onto the circuit, you saw those beautiful video going and showing off the cars and also how our series is going to go. If you guys are still with us in the YouTube and Facebook land, thank you very much for joining us. We final rounds now. Ash is going to be heading out onto the circuit for the final run for the evening. 15 minutes to make or break it, and then immediately we'll have Dylan going in for make or break it. So our two commentators going to be showing off what they can do and see where they're going to sit in the Alpha or the Bravo tier coming up next. And let's see if Dylan is all organized. Dill, you here in the comm box with us, or are you still having a bit of a drink after that difficult run? And I see you keeping yourself very hydrated with water as well, especially after that severe amount of concentration and the chicanes not being your friend once again.
How do you know that this is water?
Because I'm being friendly and being wholesome and family.
No,
this is coconut.
No, can I tell you what happened? As I got into the lobby, my wheel started doing its own reset thing. I then had to leave and come back in, and I went into the wrong lobby. Exited, went back into the wrong lobby, exited, eventually found the right lobby, joined with 7 minutes to go and only got 3 laps in. So I was under pressure because I needed to hopefully get lower down, and as I say that, here's my wheel doing another restart, so I'm not quite sure what's happening there.
It's been unfortunate technical difficulties. As you brought up, Ash, your microphone's still live, just to let you know there, bud, if you can hear us. But just to, as we brought up a little bit earlier, the technical difficulties from disconnects or wheels giving up is much like real-life mechanical failure. Conrod out the block, forgotten to tighten some wheel nuts on the wheels. You know, mechanical failures, sim racing has their own form of mechanical failures that does happen from time to time. So for everyone to please bear that in mind. The drivers are going to do everything they can to make sure that that can't happen, or they try prevent it from happening. But as we know, Any sort of form of hardware that happens that's got some person behind it is bound to give up here and there and give us a bit of a challenge.
I 100% agree, but the amount of time and practice I put in, I cannot afford for this thing to be doing its own thing right now, today. I'm trying to qualify for the Alpha tier here.
No pressure, no pressure. If you just land in the Bravo tier, it's fine. It just means that you're on the same pace as me. You know, let's add that one. You would be in the same pace as me. Like, I'm just putting that in there. I see Kate's busy, like, trying not to laugh on the microphone as well. So, thanks, Kate. Good thing I got the noise gate all the way up. But, Dill, what was going through the mind knowing that, you know, you've done your laps, you've checked the times? What's the mindset that the drivers have to take going into the final round, 15 minutes to make or break it for this qualifying? What's the sort of mindset the drivers have got to get into, especially for an average time that's going to be taken over to work them out into the Bravo or Alpha tier?
So for me, it was pure panic, is what I was experiencing, because all I was trying to do is just get in. I was ready to go, but we saw from the third session is that some of the times weren't as quick, and it's purely because the guys were trying to push a little bit too hard, just trying to overdrive the car to make the times happen. And unfortunately, when you start doing that, that's where those mistakes came in. I got myself behind some traffic. I then tried to just create a bit of a gap, so I had one last lap to really give it my all, and 100% the pressure got the better of me, and I ended up spinning it around. So even for myself, just feeling the pressure and the need to make sure that you're consistently getting in those times.
Well, definitely you got to get Coke to Terry Wilford going and letting us know in YouTube land what's happening, and to try and get some hand to you. So big thank you to Terry Wilford there. Taking a look at the comments coming from Facebook, Stain van Nieuwenhuizen saying ninjas for the win. Brandon Santos giving us some advice saying make sure your wheels plugged in properly on both the base and the power / USB. So big thank you, Brandon, for giving a bit of advice there. Stain saying, alright, let's see if I can not butcher this. Kate, you want to try your luck? No, don't want to talk, okay. Hoy Remote Dylan.
Yeah, mate, Stain. I'd like to see your Hoya remote.
So definitely, I love to see the banter that comes through. Stain, please join us every time, and if I butcher Afrikaans, feel free to go. Everyone else does it.
Just to give you a bit of background, so Stain's actually been around the console racing scene for quite a while. He actually used to race on console.co.za. When he talks about the ninjas, Jake's actually used to race with the ninjas, with himself and the late Time were a extremely influential console racer who unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. The day that will forever be entrenched in my mind is the day we were told that he had passed away after fighting a motorbike accident for many months. I do have a very soft spot for Stain, and he is always known for a phrase that cannot be repeated on a family orientated but it has got something to do with the race director and their race director's mother.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I can just point out, and I say this with wholeheartedly, gamers and sim racers, we don't pass away. We go and respawn on the next grid, that's for sure.
Yes, that's a great, I love that. I absolutely love that.
So Rudy Bias also saying controller's not that bad, Dylan. So Rudy going and chucking in. So hey, we're getting a bit of a challenge thrown here. Am I seeing the makings of a challenge come through that we might see a little bit later on? If you guys would like to see a challenge like that, come out. It won't be in the series. We'll put it in one of the fun races because we don't want to tie up Dylan too much, you know. But if you'd like to actually see it happen, we want to see all of those thumbs up or controllers in the chat for anyone that wants to see Dylan use a controller in a race. How about this? Maybe one of the fun races, everyone uses controllers. So if you guys want to see Dylan use a controller, I want to see a thumbs up. If you guys want to see a fun race that happens with all using controllers, I want to see a strong arm. So there is a
I can tell you what,
challenge for you guys.
there ain't gonna be this fun race with any controllers. I have been racing with a wheel for the last 7 years. It is extremely difficult to comprehend going to a controller now.
That's the challenge. As we go and take a look at our drivers heading out onto the circuit, you can see 134.0 being the fastest time. Steven, who's having a good run there. Rockstar Mel trying to keep it all together with the Audi. Once again, taking those curves. Seems to be a little bit more settled over the curves. So the Audi seems to be a touch more settled. He's a bit more comfortable with it. But still trying to push the boundaries just that little bit more. And Ash lying in second place, 135.9, trying to get out of the back markers, or no, not essentially back markers, trying to get out of the grid to have a bit of open air. And Zolda really showing what it is made of for all these drivers as they got to battle their way around. It's definitely a difficult time, and I think the mindset that every single one of the drivers have to take at this point is this is our last chance to put in some good times to get us into the Alpha tier. But at the same time, you've got to be, okay, let's work on getting a constant pace that's not going to be falling off the circuit the whole time or touching those marbles. Cutting Beef, new to the series as you stated, and having a lot of fun, especially nice to see coming in to South Africa. We originally also had Alan Bad Bull, who was all the way out from Australia, who was racing with us as well. So definitely a World Series coming together and making sure this can happen, especially right here on console. And we're glad to have you guys here as well. If it's anyone around the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, it has to be said, depending on when you're watching this as well.
So I was just having a look now because we're all 9 minutes left to go and Morris still hasn't got a lap in. So I'm not sure whether he's been invalidating those lap times or just waited for a clear space. So currently the fastest in both the sessions previously, Morris still trying to get a lap in. So we'll just follow him as he goes through the Jackie Eck chicane. Here at Zoldo, coming down the start-finish line. He will cross the line, and is this a valid lap? Yes, it is, but that's only a 134.6 for him, so still a lot more time for him to find, and I'm pretty sure that he will get that further up. He'll get himself further up the order. As we say that, Jacques goes and does a 133.5, so he's moved himself into a much better position for that average time.
Brandon Santos saying unfortunately he disconnected, so very sad to see. Sorry Brandon, but hopefully you can get that all organized come the racing. And also staying going and throwing down the challenge to you, Dylan, saying for that controller run. So once again guys, thumbs up if you want to see the controller run done by Dylan. Strong arm if you want to see a fun race that happens with everyone using controllers. That's out there for you guys to see and then enjoy, as SARCO does racing not only Monday but also on Thursdays. We show off our ACC driving, which is our Setta Corsa Competizione, especially with the cars in there, and we've also got our fun 5x5s and our 7x7s that happen during the week as well, during the weekends as well, where you get to run up with some of these top drivers. Ashley putting in some great pace, trying to work his way up through the field and get those times. As you heard, is stressed to get in that alpha tier. The competition incredibly tight this time around, and I've got to say, Dylan, our alpha and bravo tier, as I mentioned, that line is starting to get a bit blurred between the two, as it's literally running by 0.05 of a second between these guys at certain points. So it's no longer you can see the difference between alpha and bravo tier. It's now starting to be a little bit challenging in there, and it's filling up both of those and just trying to find the cream of the crop, if I may put.
Yeah, so that cut-off time that we are is essentially waiting for, it is going to be extremely close. We know that in our previous season where we had that cut-off between Alpha and Bravo, it was as close as 0.1 of a second, and all that equates to is less than 0.75 of a second per session. That's how close it essentially gets. But you can essentially have from first all the way down to 16th separated by up to 1.5 seconds, but then from first all the way down to say 20th position by 2 seconds, and that's how close it gets. And that's why that it all depends on your day. Does the car suit the track? Have you put enough time? Because any one of the top 20 or even 25 drivers can race in a alpha tier.
That's absolutely it. And taking a look at our comments, Richard will get a little short on the drivers. We'll do the best that we can to give you a bit of an understanding of what's behind the driver, what they're using, to get a bit of an idea there. Tyler Scott saying thumbs up for a controller on Dylan. Also, Vaughan being very complimentary. Thank you very much to going and showing in the support. He also wants to see the controllers happen. Richard also going and putting a bit of complimentary there. My cheeks are going absolutely red. I know Kate's over here is busy enjoying seeing some of seeing some of the comments as well. And I'm sure Dylan is also keeping an eye on it as well.
I'm not watching any comments about me racing with a controller. But I'll tell you what.
It looks like a community event is happening. It is happening, and it is going to happen with everyone. Devet also saying, think most are on steering wheels. That is very true. That's why having a bit of a fun race, putting people on controllers to go and mix it up a little bit, it helps break away from the stresses that you get. Now, I mean, this is something we've also got to talk about.
How stressed I feel about having to pick up a controller.
I think that's something for, Tyler's even put it on Facebook as well. So Tyler Scott just really punting to see the controllers happen. But I've just got to put out there, I mean, the stresses that come into preparing yourself for these races, for Monday and Thursday, where it's all about giving it everything you got. The guys put in countless hours, and I could say the amount of hours that every single one of these drivers do is incredible. And it doesn't matter whether you're on PC, whether you're on console, it's all the same. They spend the same amount of hours, if not more, than the people that are actually out there on the circuit as well, doing the mainline racing. I know Terry Wolford said he was amazed by the amount of effort that's required to climb your way up in the sim racing world, and the SARCO drivers are really showing what they're made of. I mean, if you take a look at Rockstar Mel, who's did a 132.9, to get that on Zolder, if you ask anyone in the sim world, to get those sort of time is definitely a hard push with lots and lots of practice behind it.
We did hear that Vaughan was saying that the Monday night without the setup does allow more race time. So you either choose a loose setup or a stable setup, and off you go. And we all have the feeling that loose is fast. You just want a little bit of a stiffer rear just to help you get the drive out. It's going to help you carry a lot more speed through some of the faster stuff. whereas the stable just squats a little bit more. It's going to help you as Jacques, you can see, lights up the rear, and that unfortunately spins him around. But Morris has now gone faster than Rockstar Mel. As we see, Terry moves himself up into a third place now, so finding that 133 once again, 133.7 there for him. Then we've got Sly Pete, Peter Hardeman, 133.8, Ashley 133.8, Stephen 133.9, Robert 134.5. We know that he got himself into the 133, so I'm pretty sure that he might be looking to have a last lap effort here. Colin, he's also doing extremely well in the 134.6. Colin driving in the Acura, the car that I have chosen for this series, and as a car you can see that was exactly how I spun. The car just goes into the dip, just lets the rear up, and if you just get that power on a little bit too soon, it then rotates you around.
And we also saw in a previous shot Terry Wolford with a little bit of damage to the front of his nose, so definitely going and running into the back of running into the wall there. A lot of support coming in for the different cars. Vaughan Hill saying the AMG is crazy, and also supporting the Cadillac as well. So yeah, this is definitely has come into play. Richard Spencer, Marius has my continuous details. And Spencer has put on something here as well. He'll sponsor a controller for the fun race, 500 Rand for the winner. So so Dylan, a community event, buddy. You're going to be taking a Facebook selfie and probably some a very nasty message towards me for the controller race that is going to happen. You cannot let the community down. As the guys round off their qualifying, you're going to be jumping in for your final round, and I just want to get the mindset. I mean, for the drivers, you're one of the drivers. It's the final run. You've got 15 minutes to make it or break it. What's going through your head?
I just want to hit the braking markers. I want to make sure that I cover that 33.6 that I put in. I want to be able to get myself within the average of a 33.4, so I know that in terms of my pace I can get to a 33.2. That's my target. If I get into the 33.5s, I'll be happy. Disappointed with my previous session because I only got those 3 laps in. I just want to go out there, make sure that I get the lap in, and the way I'm feeling is I should have done enough to get myself qualifying in the Alpha tier.
Don't worry, if you qualify in Bravo, you can say that you're on the pace with me. Just putting that out there, you know, I ran in Bravo.
You did indeed.
I was at the back of Bravo, but I was in Bravo.
Which was my point. There's a difference between running at the back and winning Bravo.
Absolutely, and as the guys make their way around the circuit, a lot of guys in the comments going absolutely crazy. Facebook and YouTube, love to see you guys going mad out there. A lot of our drivers coming in, Vaughan Hills going and jumping in and doing everything. Brandon Hills saying Marius's car should be on an oval track. I have to agree. That is definitely one of those, or it's got to be running up and down Bathurst. That's kind of where I think that needs to sit. But honestly, nice to see that the Hills brothers are going and jumping and having a bit of fun with us right here at SARCO. Part of our GT3 Sprint Series in partnership with Deliver Your Parcel. And going to be coming into the commentary box is going to be Ash, and we're just waiting for Ash to come through after that incredible drive. We've got Dylan, who's going to be taking his leave. Dylan, good luck for your race, bud. Looking forward to seeing it, and we'll just have to see how it all goes. But I can hear Ash, yep, in the commentary box now, and just ready to have a chat. So just going and hydrating, making sure it has a bit of water as well. as I said, it gets a bit difficult. So Ash, welcome back into the commentary box. You had a little bit of a run there and you went to slug down that water. How do you feel now that the qualifying run is all over for you?
I'm not confident at all. I tried my best to get those times lower, but unfortunately I lost a lot of time through the chicanes, and I think that's the difference. I think some of the guys are finding a lot of pace through the through the chicanes, and I just wasn't able to match it. So almost a full second off the top runners there. But I'm looking forward to a good season. I think it's going to be a very close one.
Is absolutely, and we've also, between the chat, and I've got to say a big thank you to the Facebook chat and to our YouTube chat, and if you guys are just joining us, we've got a little bit of a push going on that Dylan is going to use a controller, but it seems like the community of SARCO, especially the spectators and fellow drivers, are pushing to have a community fun day event where the drivers must use a controller instead of a steering wheel.
Well, I know one particular driver who would do exceptionally well at that. That's Brandon DeSantos. I think he's done three or four seasons with the controller, so he will definitely outclass us all. And
with even Richard Spencer saying he would chuck in 500 Rand for the winner of that controller race. So it is going to happen. The community have spoken and Dylan is dreading it like no tomorrow. But Ash, I mean, now getting into the third heat, you got yourself, you had to work there, you got the feel of down in the pits. How was it there with the drivers, and especially once the checkered flag came down? I'm sure the drivers either breathing a sigh of relief or not quite happy of the performance. What was the general feeling down there?
I think big respect to the guys who got those incredibly quick times.
No, we're not.
Especially some of the guys we haven't seen before, we haven't seen in a long time, and they just seem to have mastered these cars and are doing a hell of a lot better. It's great to see. Other than that, I think everybody's quite nervous. I think a lot of guys will, like for example, for me, I think it's we've seen that the times are pretty close together, so I think it's going to be very close to get into that alpha tier spot. I think it's the ultimate where you want to be. You want to be in the alpha tier. So I think I will be pretty disappointed if I don't get into the alpha tier, because there's a good possibility that could happen.
Well, that just shows how fierce the competition is for the season. That line between the Alpha and Bravo drivers, as I said, that thin grey line is starting to become more and more blurred every time the guys head out onto the circuit. So fantastic to see Stain, Neverhazen going and saying how's it to everyone, also going and talking to the guys there. So glad to see Stain going and helping out and keeping the chat alive on Facebook. YouTube also going and having a bit of a chat. Rudy Burr saying racing on controller, so up for it. Rudy won the previous season for some stuff with the controller as well, so he's definitely going to be pushing, and that's from HM Man West. And we've also got Victor Horry, Barcelona, best track for me. So Victor going and also putting it. Currently, Barcelona and myself are not friends, especially in a different season that I'm racing in. They've got enough rain on the circuit that you need scuba gear and you need a sailing your way around the circuit, that's for sure. And the Honda does not seem too friendly, thanks Kate, especially around that. So we are going to take a look at the guys heading out onto the circuit. Final time 15 minutes to break it. The nerves must be starting to kick in. What do you think, Ash? The guy's going to be a little bit jittery on the pedals until they make their first lap around the circuit, when they can get the visor down and start getting a bit more focused on hitting those apexes as
Yeah,
they make their
it's
way around the circuit.
the time to make it or break it, and I'm sure that from what Dylan was saying and what we picked up in the second heat is that the guys were pushing a little bit too hard. You see Dylan able to get out now and get a clear track ahead of him, and that will definitely help him with his cause. And we see a couple of those spreading the field up a bit. That's what they need also. They don't need to bunch up. They need to give each other enough room. So perhaps that's what we're going to see in this session. We're going to see a little bit more consistency from the drivers. They tried to push in the second heat, and they're probably going to just reset and try something else in the last heat.
That's definitely going to be an interesting one as the guys make their way around the circuit. Jake's hitting out part of the green numbers, trying to fly around. Now, you did have a chat to Jakes, and you said that he is enjoying the McLaren and following suit in it. How is the McLaren finding Zolder?
It's very stable, very nice car to drive. I can't fault it at all. Jax was actually practicing in the BMW and then decided at the last minute to go for the McLaren, which for me, out of all the cars that I did test, and like I said, I tested probably about 80% of the different vehicles. For me, it was the one that really stuck out the most and was a lot more easier to drive, especially when you're gearing down. It seems to gear down nicely. The brakes are good. Just the general handling of it. It's got enough speed, and it's got that big V8 in the back of it. So for me, it is the all-round car. I think we'll see. I did try the Audi. It's got a lot of horsepower. It's got the V10. But I just couldn't get a good feel for it, and that's why I decided to go with the McLaren. But all in all, most of these cars are actually very similar, and it's just how you feel, how the driver feels on the particular car that they have chosen.
And now another thing to throw in, a little bit of real-world technology coming in. A lot of these drivers are racing on wheels, some on controllers for PlayStation 4. The different wheels that guys are using, from the G29 to the Thrustmasters and all the variances that go with it. Guys trying to upgrade their gear to get a little bit more fidelity of the force feedback coming in. It doesn't make you faster, but you're definitely stepping it up from gear driven to belt driven. And if you really got the cash for it, the direct drives that are able to do it, you get more fidelity out of it. What is your thoughts? You've seen the guys starting to step up their gear to get a little bit more immersion for one, 2, a little bit more fidelity, and 3, to just find where they're comfortable. What's your thoughts on it?
I think the biggest thing is actually your pedals. The steering wheel doesn't really count for much, in my opinion. I think it's all down to your brakes and what pedal system that you have. The Logitech, I upgraded many years ago from the older Logitech steering wheel, and the G29 is by far my favorite. It's just got a better feel on the brake pedal, but I have driven with a Thrustmaster with the Pro pedals, and I must say that feels a hell of a lot better. You just have a different sort of feeling on the brakes, and that's where the time is made up with most of the guys, just by getting a good feel for where your braking markers and that.
Just creating a bit more memory, muscle memory for where the braking markers are. And obviously the step up, you've been through the evolution of the drivers progressing from controllers and taking sim racing a little bit more seriously as it moves up, and seeing a lot of the real world drivers coming in play, such as like Terry Wilford. I keep bringing his name. He is in the big V8s. That's part of the, it's where you want to be in South Africa motor racing. The guys stepping up their gear taking sim racing a little bit more seriously and getting to race against the overseas guys as well, especially here in SARCO. What's your feel onto that?
Well, yeah, it's good to see the real life drivers, or the real world drivers, should I say, coming to join us. It was great. I think boost for SARCO, especially when Terry came along and he introduced the rest of the guys, Lendl, the Hills brothers, Peter Brandt, and I think there was like a few other guys, Horn Dog, which is Andrew, and yeah, it's kind of given us a bit of a boost. He in the beginning was also on a Logitech, and now he's progressed to, or been upgraded to the Fantech, which is probably a much better top of the or upper range of the steering wheel, and brakes and that. So for him, you can see a massive improvement from when he started to now, and now actually, starting to overtake or starting to show better pace than the guys that have been there slightly longer. But there's a huge difference between sim racing and real world racing. Okay, you have the racecraft where you know how to race against other cars and sort of awareness of where you are on the track, but the feel is completely different. So it's almost like learning a different language. So for Terry, for the likes of Terry who've come through the years and have improved, he's made actually huge steps, and you can now see his time and effort that he's put into this going to pay off.
Well, that's the thing. It's all about time and effort that comes in. And also, nice to see the guys taking it a little bit more seriously, as we saw Lama just hooking on the dirt. Or Lima, getting it wrong again.
Lima Lama.
Yep, Lima Lama, going and hooking on the dirt and sliding around. Maybe if he gets a mistake, I call him Lama. If he does it right, let's go with that one. Jake's trying to keep it all together. So far, times we're seeing 3.033 as the quickest time. Behind him is Jake's doing a 133.4 as his quickest time. So the guys are getting used to the 133s. That's where if I could put it, the race pace versus the qualifying pace seems to be the 133s that we might see the guys doing around Zolder here. The guys still pushing, doing everything they can. Dill going and doing a 134.3. So that time is, it's very, very difficult to make sure that your average pace is, so high up in it as well. So definitely a very, very fierce field. I'm really looking forward to seeing the effort that's going in for the Alpha and Bravo tier. Oh yeah, by the way, Ash, we've got a little PSA here. Terry Wolford says, thanks Ash, send the invoice. Do I include mine as well? No? Okay. Kate's giving me dirty looks while she's playing on the steering wheel. Cool. Great to see that.
There we see the guys not getting into this 132. So Gav and Brandon, both with a 132.9, very close together. Just 5/10s between the two of those guys. And not far off is Lendl with almost a 133 flat there. So the times are coming in. The guys are now obviously settled down. They've realized that the first heat they were trying a little bit too hard. Now just maybe calm down a bit and showing what they're capable of. I still feel those times could come down a little bit more, at least half a second. But we still have 5 minutes left. Anything's possible.
Oh, that's it. And it also gives us a little bit of time to talk about next Monday as we head out to a very, very famous circuit, and that is going to be a Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. As we know, Spa is a delightful circuit that really tests your mettle, especially with Eau Rouge. See how much you can keep your foot in it and whether you're brave enough to go up the hill flat out. That's going to be our first race. Second race is going to be SARCO GP. followed by Azura Circuit, and then race number 4 is going to be Barcelona, Catalunya, for a lot of people that like it. We jump out to Fuji for race number 5. 6 is going to be Long Beach Street Circuit, so really looking forward to the street circuit. Very, very tight racing that's going to come out from there. Race 7 is going to be all the way out to our Italian friends in Monza, so really looking forward to that. All about high speed and trying to make it all around the circuit. And race 8, we're going to end it off on a bit of a doozy as we head out to Enzo e Dino Ferrari Imola. And that is going to be one to keep an eye out for, as Imola is a very, very tricky circuit to go around. So
we see Dylan getting a bit sideways there. Oh, and followed by, I think that was Brandon or one of the other. Is it the rough rider? I'm not sure. But yeah, Imola is going to be interesting. That's always been a pretty interesting track for all the drivers. And well, we saw how exciting it was actually in the Formula One recently, where we saw the likes of Lewis Hamilton and a couple of other guys getting it all wrong. But nevertheless, I think it's going to be an awesome season, some awesome tracks up, and some very cool cars that we'll be driving. So yeah, I think all in all, it's going to be a fantastic season.
A season that is going to test everyone on keeping up their pace, their precision, and their consistency is definitely going to be here on Monday. Part of our GT3 Sprint Series, proudly brought to you by SARCO in partnership with Deliver Your Parcel. Big thank you to our sponsor jumping on board as we see SA Grim Reaper in the BMW. We haven't chatted too much about Grim Reaper having a bit of a run there. I think it's one of our newcomers to the SARCO series and is having time with the BM.
Yeah, we didn't see him in the first heats. Not too sure what he's.
He is in the Discord, I am being told by Kate, so he is one of the drivers that is new, trying to keep it all together, and I think working their way around. I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going to work his field, if the BM is going to bite back, but opting to, looks like to pull out of the race line, letting guys go. And that's one thing I'd take hats off to driver etiquette, guys moving off a race line, just letting the guys get on with their hot laps, and then you carry on. But you don't really have to go off circuit. You can just go a little bit more on a tighter line. You can lift off on the straight, allow the guys to dart past you. There's different ways of letting the guys go. But glad to see a bit of a newcomers. Insomnia 8-Bit, also one of our newer drivers coming in.
Chalou has been here a couple of seasons already, I think.
Oh, okay, so different name. I haven't seen the name too much.
Yeah, he's a different. I think he was around last season, so this could be his second season. But yeah, definitely good to see him come back again and try to take on the likes of the guys in SARCO again.
And we've got such a variety of teams between the Green Mumbas, the Chasing Beavers, the Rough Riders, and so many more, including Ash, your team. Here's a free punt for you. Come on, you can go for it.
Yeah, watch out for NASCAR racing.
There we go, free punt. You just add that in there.
Yeah, thanks very much. I haven't found a teammate there. Nobody seems to be wants to be my teammate, but I actually haven't asked anyone, so maybe that's the trick. You have to ask someone to be your teammate.
There's the punch. Getting it on live on YouTube and Facebook. That's being broadcast around the world. So if you guys want to be part of Ash's team, get hold of him or get hold of us here at SARCO. We'll put you in touch. But Dylan going out a little bit wide there in the car. Definitely having a bit of a tricky time with the car. The mid-engines being not too favoured here at Zolder thanks to the curbs. You can see all kinds of sideways trying to keep it together. And if you guys could see the camera view right now, as Kate pointed out, Dylan's not a happy camper. He's literally biting his lip at this point as he fights his way around the circuit. But incredible racing. I mean, look at these times: 132.7, 132.9, 132.96 as our front guys. Then we got Jake's 133.4. Now Jake's was one of our much quicker guys previously, and it's nice to see that the grid has basically done a
look
turn
at that,
on its head.
132.5 by Jake, so smashing.
So as I say it, he goes and proves me wrong, but definitely this is turning into a fun time. Peter Heidemann saying Rough Riders will... So there we go, Peter Heidemann offering to give you a bit of a home as well. But I think, Peter, you need to join Ash's team. I think it's not meant to go the other way around. It's meant to go into one. And
Dylan does not improve on his time there. So
Dylan hit the wall so hard he went into the net at that point.
Sorry, Dylan.
Jeez.
I just looked out of the screen. I saw his head getting in shape. Sorry, in disappointment. So. An unfortunate turn of events, but look at those times there. 132.5 by Jake. I mean, that's insane. And then Lendl, a 132.7. All these guys, the top three guys, extremely fast. And you can just, even there, Gav, fourth, all those 132s, showing us what they're capable of. And I'm also a bit nervous because I wasn't anywhere near the pace of those guys, so I have a lot of work to do.
So, ladies and gentlemen, keep an eye on Facebook, because if these two of Dylan and Ash don't know where they're going to be, that tells you that the Alpha and Bravo tier that you knew from last year has changed.
Absolutely.
So keep an eye on the Facebook, like the page, and keep an eye on the social media. Ash, we've got Dylan in the commentary box as well, and now we know Dylan got uber excited and tried driving all the way to Spa, even though he's sitting at Zolder. Dill, that final corner, bud, are you a bit excited to get into race number 1? It looks like you're ready to drive all the way through to Spa.
I just could not get a lap together. I kept getting a slow down, and it was basically the last corner, make or break. And I somehow cut the corner so fine through the little kink, and it gave me a invalidated lap.
No,
well,
that's most unlucky though.
We were talking about, the penalties, that come in. The guys are definitely keeping an eye on it. That turn 15, turn 14 stewards are definitely on the grid at this point. That's for sure. If Max Verstappen was here, he would have a couple of laps taken off, because the stewards are keeping a good keen eye on this. But guys, now that we've got both of you in the chat, in the commentary box, and we've also got our guys out in YouTube and Facebook land, the excitement building up. Alpha and Bravo tier, the racing is definitely going to be super close, with some great racing in between, and a lot of these drivers showing what they can do as they head out. That's for sure. How are you guys feeling for the build up as next Monday we head out to Spa for the very first race of the GT3 Sprint Series, proudly brought to you by SARCO in partnership with Deliver Your Parcel?
Ash, do you want to go first?
You go for it.
So the problem I have, Steve, is I don't even know if I've qualified in the Alpha tier, because what's happened, the level of the driving and the competitiveness of these cars, specifically on a lock setup, is so close. I don't even know if I've qualified for the Alpha tier.
Yeah, I think I can concur with that as well. I don't think I have either. So Well, it's going to be a very interesting Bravo tier as well, because we did see some of the guys who normally in the Bravo tier getting some exceptionally good times there. Look, for instance, Meljock. I mean, all of a sudden, I mean, he was riding in the Bravo tier last season, and he was doing really well. And then look, he's almost like smashing those times. So good to see him up there. We also saw who was it, Robert doing really well, and he has come quite a long way from the time when he started up until now. He has improved immensely, and let's not forget about old Terry, who has also come up and now, showing us what he's capable of doing. So yeah, I'm actually very wary of the up and coming drivers, and very nervous of the qualifying results.
Well, I'm going to put my foot in my mouth solidly for this one, and I'm not afraid to say it. I think everything that we knew of the Alpha and Bravo tier has been flipped on its head. Whatever you thought was going to happen is not going to happen. It has changed the whole dynamic of it, and I think we're in for the most exciting season for this GT3 Sprint Series. That is for sure.
Boys, catch you guys next time.
I agree with you 100%, and I think we're going to see the same in the set.
So next time, have to be open to race would be Monday, right?
And for those guys out there who still want to participate, there may be a few seats available for the Bravo tier. So if you have a set of Corsa, you have a PlayStation, you have a steering wheel, come and join us. So we'd love to see you challenge the guys here on track. And if you want to find out more, check out our website at sarcoracing.co.za, and you can also stream or check us out on Facebook, and watch us live on YouTube.
100%. And guys, that offering from Deliver Your Parcel, if you go to their website, so that is deliveryourparcel.co.za, in the special instructions, you quote SARCO, you will get your SARCO preferential discounts applied to any courier parcel that you'd like to courier within the country. Go and check them out. They are the company that have partnered up with SARCO. So you're getting the preferential service through SARCO, but as mentioned in the ACC, we will be taking the winners from each of the different tiers, and we will be doing a lucky draw to take 3 drivers to come and join us for a weekend, and that will be at the F400 kart circuit. We will be racing, so guys, there's lots and lots still to come with SARCO and Deliver Your Parcel, so please support the brands that support SARCO. They are the ones that make all of this possible. A big thank you to our hosts, Tyler, Scott, who in the background was making sure that everybody's in the lobby. Thank you, Ashley, for doubling up this evening as well, commentating and racing. And Stephen Koenig, absolutely fantastic to have you back. Please send Kate our regards. It was actually
I was just gonna say
Right over here, she's hiding out of frame. She will be on the track, that's for sure. Don't look at me like that. Definitely, she will be on the circuit. But it's absolutely grand to be back. It's been a little bit of a hiatus, and well, I've missed all the action, and definitely Sarco's here to show it with the series. And I am rubbing my hands together to see what is going to happen by the end of it. We'll see who's in Alpha, who's in Bravo, as we head to race number 1 at Spa-Francorchamps. And let's see if Eau Rouge, who will be able to keep their foot in it the longest.
Listen, when in doubt, flat out, and that's what Christopher Radloff would say. A rouge is flat. Guys, all I could say, keep practicing. We'll see you next week, and thanks for watching. Yos.
Cheers, guys.